So recently there was some big news in the Xbox gaming community. You can tell by the article that I have pulled up exactly what I'm talking about. The prices for the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X has finally been revealed, and now it's a big discussion of which console to get, which console is worth it, is the price value worth it. That's what I'm going to talk about right now. I'm going to give my opinion on which console is better, and I think that goes a little bit farther where you can say which console is better based on your goals. I think is what is important to notice or to note. Let's go down through here. I wanted to pull up an article to show the differences between the two just to start it off so that we have an idea of what each console is all about. So right up front, no disc on the Xbox Series S, right? It's completely digital, it's much smaller, and it's white. White is best, right? I am a little bit biased with the color scheme, but that's okay because you could probably put a wrap on the Series X and make it look a little nicer than this black one, but still. The white looks amazing. I'll pull up other pictures as well because it does have, like right down here, it does have this little vent on the side, so I'll pull up some other pictures a little bit later, but first let's just talk about the main differences. Controller, obviously going to be the same. This one is discless, it's much bigger, this one's smaller. So let's go down into the differences. First thing, price, $300 versus $500. That's a huge price difference. And it seems to me like Xbox is kind of taking a similar route that Nvidia just did when they released their 30 series or when they announced it, because they are really underselling and overperforming is what it seems like, because this console is going to outperform the Xbox One, I think by 2 times is what I've heard or something around there, and it's way less than what the Xbox One was worth when it first came out. So, and even the Xbox Series X, $500 is not bad for all that you're offered with this machine. CPU, they have the same CPU, but the processing speed of the CPU is a little bit different between the two. So when it comes to the Series X, you're not getting that much more out of your CPU. So if you're going to base your decision off of CPU, obviously go with the cheaper one because they're so similar that it really doesn't matter that much. So, but here is where most of the differences is from GPU down throughout here. From what I've seen is where you're going to see a lot of differences. The GPU, right? It's a custom RDNA 2, so that part is the same. But then you got 12.15 teraflop versus 4 teraflop, 52 CU, 20 CU, and the gigahertz difference between these two. This processor that is in the Series X is so powerful compared to the Series S. There's a huge difference between the two. This is where your huge price difference is. I mean, it's a $200 price difference. You better be getting a $200 difference in performance. That's why this processor is so much better or more powerful, however you want to say it, than the Series S. And that makes sense. But based on what they offer down below, this is still a really good price for the Series S. So you've got 16 gig RAM, right? So you'll have faster loading times. But 10 is still not bad, so you're still going to have faster loading times across both consoles. Memory bandwidth, we'll kind of go past that. That's not different enough to matter. Internal storage, this is awesome because a terabyte gets eaten up so fast nowadays. You can eat up a terabyte so quickly with how big some of the games are. So a terabyte SSD, that's awesome. SSDs are faster than hard drives. You're going to have faster loader times. What am I trying to say here? More storage. SSD equals faster loading times, all that good stuff. 512 gigabytes, that's still a lot of space, but this is getting into the territory where you might have to get an external option, which it does mention down here. But this is getting into that range where you're going to hit that point where you need an upgrade much faster, because 512 gigabytes, I think Call of Duty Warzone alone is, well, let's just check. So Call of Duty alone is 194 gigabytes. So when you have games like this eating up your space, you're going to run out really quickly. This is definitely a big difference for people. Like, if people like to have games saved, you're going to run into a lot of issues with this and you're going to have to upgrade. And that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. This one, you're going to have a lot more room to work with. So external storage, you've got the terabyte expansion card support. That's the same for both of them. But right down here, right? Physical media, there's no disk drive on the Series S. It doesn't exist. It's digital only. And this one has 4K Blu-ray drive, right? So output resolution, 4K at 60 FPS. That is insane. That is such a high resolution for a console. That is just, it blows my mind how far consoles have come from how they used to be. It's really impressive. And I think that some other articles have said that you can get upwards of 120 FPS. I don't know if that's always running at 4K or if you have to dip it down a little bit to get that 120. And this 1440 at 60, I'm sure you could dip that down to 1080 and get that 120 FPS if you wanted to, depending on what you're going for. Some people don't care about frames. All they care about is how good the graphics look. And some people only care about frames and want the graphics to be bad. It just depends on the preference you have as a gamer. We've kind of looked at the differences between them. So let's talk about the difference, right? The Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series S. Which one is more worth it? Which one gives you the most bang for your buck? Let's go over all of that, but I think it really honestly depends on your preference as a gamer, right? So let's pull out the notepad. Let's say this first scenario, you're a gamer, you prioritize graphics and performance, right? And this, let's say with this category, you prioritize graphics and performance and you have no budget, none. And then down here, you prioritize, I don't know the best way to say this, but maybe you say you prioritize getting the most out of your money. And then we can even break out another one and we could say that you have no money and will take what you can get, right? Prioritizing graphics and performance, no budget, right? Obviously, everyone has a budget, but just for this example, we're saying you are set on getting the absolute best system that you can. How much are you going to spend? Okay. So first, you've got the Xbox Series X at $500, right? 500 bones. Now, you haven't ever had a 4K gaming device, right? So what do you need to game in 4K? You need a 4K TV. So let's find out how much a 4K TV costs. But also, along with that 4K TV, you need to make sure that your 4K TV runs at 120 hertz. So you're going to have to specify that as well. So let's go into shopping. From what I understand, most 4K TVs are always going to be 120 hertz. I think that it's not very common for it to be under that, but you do want to do your research. You want to make sure that you're getting the most out of it, because if your console is promised at some points in time to run at 120 FPS, you better have a 120 hertz TV, monitor, whatever, or else you're not going to get exactly what you paid for out of the Xbox. So to get the most out of your Xbox, you need to get the best option for your Xbox. So right here, you're looking at 550, Samsung 280, 200, 219, 170, 250. Obviously, you know, maybe you could get a student discount. There's other scenarios. You could go really big. This one's $1,300, $2,500, depending on the size you want. But let's say we're just an average gamer. We're looking for just a normal price. Let's just say, just for the sake of this, we're going with this one, right? 220, 200. So let's just say a price of 200, right? For the cheapest but best monitor we can get. Sorry, TV. So 4K TV, 120 hertz, $200. So now we're already into this $700, right? $700, you get the Xbox Series X, you're gaming in the best quality that you can get. That obviously changes. I mean, like you saw, there's a lot of monitors available. What you get out of it entirely depends on you. If you want a nicer TV, go for a nice one. I mean, heck, spend $550 if you want to. There's some really, really nice stuff out there that you can get. It just entirely depends on what you want to spend your money on, right? If you want graphics, performance, you've got $700 to spend, then your obvious answer is to go with the Xbox Series X and buy a new TV to get the best. Maybe you're lucky, maybe you already have a 4K TV. Then all you're doing is you're spending $500 and you're getting the best console that the world has ever seen. Obviously, the PlayStation will rival this, but As of right now, we're talking about the Xbox, the best console the world has seen. $700 to game in 4K is really, really good, because you can build a PC that can't do 4K gaming for probably about this price as well. You know, you could build a pretty good PC for this amount of money and it'll do everything you need to, but it doesn't quite have all of this. Obviously, there's some additional stuff you can do with PC that you can't do with Xbox, so you kind of, there's pros and cons to both. To be able to game at this quality for that price is really awesome. So I think it's great that things have been priced as low as they have. But let's kind of talk about some of the other things and, you know, determine what box you fit into the best. Getting the most out of your money, right? You're fronted with Xbox Series X, $500. Okay, so I've got all this typed out. Prioritizing getting the most out of your money. So you don't have an unlimited budget. You're wondering, if I'm going to hunker down, I'm going to buy this new console, how do I get the most out of my money? So graphics don't matter as much to you. Now, you can look at it two ways. You know, you've got the Xbox Series X, you're probably going to need a new TV unless you already have one. You're going to be in $700. Now, the Xbox Series S offers really great graphics that we haven't ever gotten before on a console as well. I'm pretty sure that the Series S is around 2 times more powerful than the Xbox One. Already, for $300, you're less than the Xbox One originally sold for, and you're getting more performance. So for getting the most out of your money, the Series S is obviously a great option. That doesn't mean that the Series X isn't right for you, but it depends on your goals and it depends on your budget. Now, not everyone has $700 to spend. With buying the Series S, you spend $300, and let's say you already have a pretty good TV. Most TVs come in 60 hertz nowadays anyways, so you probably don't need a TV upgrade. If you're wanting to ever get that 120 FPS potentially, you might need to upgrade to a TV that does have 120 hertz, or a monitor at least that has that. For getting the most out of your money, chances are if you already have some sort of newer TV, you're going to be able to run 1440 or whatever you want at 60 FPS, right? You're probably going to be able to run that with no issues. So for getting the most out of your money, you can spend $300, you already have a TV, and you can just run games and amazing graphics that beat a lot of PCs for $300. That's insane. So to say that the Xbox Series S is a joke, or say that the value just isn't there, is blatantly a lie. I haven't heard anyone say that. If anyone does ever say that, they're crazy, because the Series S is giving you so much performance for so little money. It's honestly insane. It blows my mind that it's that cheap. I was expecting the Series S to be right in that $400 to $500 range, and I was expecting the Series X to be $600 to $700. That's what I was expecting based on all of the promotion that they did, talking about what these machines will be capable of. I was expecting these to be so much more. So the fact that they came in so much less is really awesome. To me, both consoles are such great options, and I think that you're going to get exactly what you pay for out of both of them, and I don't think there's going to be disappointment. Obviously, until there's testing, there's no way to know for sure. But if you just want to have a great gaming experience, but you have a budget, you don't really care about the high graphics, the Series S is such a good option, and that's why I'm so impressed by this. Let's talk about another scenario, right? Because I'm not saying that I'm made out of money. I'm definitely not. But not everyone is made out of money, right? Not everyone can spend $300 on the Xbox Series S. Maybe they have a really crappy TV from the 90s, and they can't afford to upgrade the TV and get the Xbox Series S, right? There's not a lot of people that are, well, sorry, let me rephrase that. There are a lot of people out there that aren't as privileged and cannot get the newest console every time it releases. So what's the option for those people, right? Basically, your best option as one of those people is patience, okay? If you absolutely must have the newest console upgrade, but you don't have the money, your options are basically to save for it, right? Save your money. Do what you can to put money away every month, every paycheck, whatever it is. If you have an allowance, put money away for your allowance, whatever that might be. your best option is patience or downgrade from what everyone else has. So what that means is the Xbox Series X releases, the Xbox Series S releases. What are these people going to do when they don't have the cash or the savings to get into these newer consoles? They're going to have to downgrade. They're going to have to go for the older consoles, which now more than ever is a wonderful option for people that are trying to save money, because it was just recently announced with Cold War, I believe, the new Call of Duty, that not only will it be cross-platform, it'll be cross-generation. So if you're in school, right, and you have buddies, they've got money, they buy the newest Xbox, okay? You're left in the dust, you don't get the new Xbox. That's okay, because with the way gaming is moving, that won't be an issue anymore. You can buy your buddy's old Xbox One and still play with him when the new Cold War comes out. I'm sure other games will do it as well. Right now, I think Cold War is the only one doing it. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to do more research. But you can get an old Xbox One for less money. You can still have a great gaming experience, and you can still play with all of your friends and not have to spend $300, $500. I mean, let's look at how much an Xbox One is right now. Okay, so I went and looked up some prices, and I did find out a little bit more about this, but it looks like right now, which this obviously makes sense, but right now, there's a lot of Xbox Ones right in that 200, 300, some of them like the Xbox One X 4K 1 terabyte edition, that one's still up in the, I think, $500. So those ones aren't as good of an option, obviously. So maybe I am backpedaling a little bit here, but I still stand by what I said, because a lot of those Xbox Ones right now, at this time, without the new console coming out, $200, $300, right? And I have an Xbox One S. I do, and I have a great time gaming on it. I think it's a good console. But me selling this, there's no way when the Xbox Series S comes out, I sell this console for $300. There's absolutely no way. Maybe $100, $150 is what someone would be willing to pay for it. Which, for this person down here, $150 compared to $300, that's starting to sound pretty nice. They have a TV already. They buy the console for $150, and they're gaming with their buddies. You know, they'll have to spend $60 on a game. That's a given. Gaming is an expensive hobby to get into when you're upgrading all the time. So that's why when you can, save money any opportunity you get, right? So for these people, patience really is a virtue, right? As soon as these come out, guaranteed you're going to start seeing price drops on the older consoles, because they're not as interesting anymore. They don't have the value that they used to have. I mean, heck, the only Xboxes that will still be valuable are probably the limited edition ones. The ones that were just your base versions of the Xbox that came out and people bought them, they enjoyed them, they sold them, they're used. Those will not hold their value, because that's the thing with technology, is unless it's really, really old, cool technology, it does not hold its value, because stuff upgrades so quickly. There's no nostalgia for new technology nowadays. You buy a phone for $1,000, you are not going to get $1,000 out of it when you sell it. It's just as simple as that. For these people that don't have the money to buy newer consoles, it really is great to wait until these newer consoles come out, and then maybe you buy a cheaper one that's used. You know, someone is selling theirs to upgrade to the newer console. That's a perfect opportunity for the people that don't have the cash to drop on a newer console. You could even go further into that, and you could say, well, knowing Microsoft, knowing Sony, knowing any of these game developers, there's always an upgrade, right? Right now, without even seeing it, I'm in my head imagining, okay, the Xbox Series X is coming out for $500. What are they going to do in a year, or whatever it is, a year, 6 months, 2 years, however long it is? What are they going to do to upgrade that to make my Series X not as appealing as it once was? Maybe they release a Ultra 4K edition or Xbox Series X Plus for $600. And will you go, well, I have to have it. I mean, I want the best that money can buy. There's always an upgrade. So if money is hard to come by, just be patient, because there's always going to be something that upgrades and sets the new bar and brings down the prices of all the old stuff, which is perfect, because it's not bad stuff. It still works great. It still gives you a great gaming experience with your friends or by yourself, however you want to play. It's great to be patient. And I would honestly give that as a rule of thumb for anybody that is looking to buy, is just be patient. Because stuff upgrades all the time, and there's always unknown stuff that will come out and change your mind. I mean, the PlayStation price hasn't even been announced yet. Maybe that will come out, blow Xbox out of the water, and people will have already pre-ordered the Xbox, and they're going to be really frustrated because they didn't wait for the PlayStation. Always be as patient as you can, in my opinion. I know that you always have to stay up to times. It's fun to be up to date. It really is cool to have the newest stuff and talk to your buddies about it, but sometimes that's not always the best thing. Sometimes it is a little bit better to get what you can for the money that you have, or wait until the money that you have will go farther.